Fine. Yeah, good evening, everyone. So myself, I'm Vijay. I hold 14 plus years of experience, which includes 7 plus years of experience in Hadoop and Spark environment. So as part of today's demo, just I'm going to cover the following things. So before I start, can anyone please confirm whether my voice is clear, whether my screen is visible or not?
Yes.
Fine, thank you. So before we start, what is big data? What is big data and why Hadoop required? Already we have got many technologies in the market. Why again Hadoop in the Yes, Naman Kumar, please be in mute. So if you have got any queries, I'll be giving time at the end of the session. You can just ask, but any specific queries you got, you can unmute and you can ask me. Drawbacks of databases. Hadoop advantages. So you can attend the demo today and tomorrow. Okay, so discussion will be on Hadoop, why Hadoop, and why it is Hadoop advantages, drawbacks of other technologies. Hadoop ecosystem components. Okay. Hadoop job market. Okay, this is what I'm going to discuss as part of today's session. So before I start, big data. Big data, huge volumes of data. So data is stored in the form of KBs, MB, GB. So what are the data storage units? Like how the data is stored currently in the form of KBs of data, MBs of data, GBs, terabytes, petabytes, exabytes, zettabytes, yottabytes, sottabytes, so on. Okay, we say from TB onwards, we say it as big data, huge data generation, right? So you should have seen KBs of data, MBs of data, GBs of data, or even TBs of data. Do you think like petabytes of data is it getting generated in the current real world? So examples of petabytes or exabytes of data generation. If you take the example of any banking sector like SBI or HDFC, within a particular city, you see hundreds of branches, right, for a particular city, and within the entire state, thousands of branches for SBI. If you see the entire country, lakhs of branches for SBI. Within each branch, millions of customers, each customer making multiple transactions per hour, per day, per week, per month, and per year. Each and every transaction need to be stored, right? Huge transactions. Okay, forget about it. Everyone are aware about social media like Facebook, right? Facebook, not only within the country, it has got millions and trillions of users throughout the world. In a minute, what is the data generated by Facebook in a minute? How many posts and videos are getting circulated? What should be the storage capacity of Facebook for storing all these posts and videos, not in MBs or GBs, right? So petabytes of data generation. Not only like Facebook today, if you see any application generating, if we take the example of any application generating data in petabytes. We take like for example 1 minute transaction. If I take 1 minute transaction, just 1 second. if I'm taking 1 minute transaction, in a minute, how many FB posts? In a minute, Twitter tweets, what is the data generated by Twitter in a minute? Or if we take in a minute, what is the data generated by Google? Today everyone using Google queries. Today everyone creating your own videos and uploading in the YouTube videos upload. YouTube videos upload. What should be the storage capacity of this YouTube for storing all the videos? And millions and trillions of users using email or Gmail messages. Or if you talk bank transaction, just now I was talking about this bank transactions, right? Bank transactions, huge data. And if you talk about this telecom transactions, huge data. Everywhere you can see like huge data. And if we talk about that e-commerce websites like Flipkart or Amazon, huge data, right? E-commerce website. So everywhere you see like huge data getting generated, not in GBs or TBs, petabytes of data generation. And an average Google generating more than 700 petabytes per month on an average. Means 700 into 1024 TBs, that is what the data generated by Google. So already 1 TB is a large storage unit, but 700 into 1024 TBs, that is what the data generated by Google. Okay. Facebook also is generating more than 600 petabytes per month on an average. Okay, fine. So currently we have got some databases. We have got databases. We observe. Like Oracle, MySQL. We have got database like Oracle, MySQL, DB2, SQL Server. All these they are used for. Okay, fine. 1 second. Observe this. In a minute, I'm talking about in a minute. But if we take hour or if I take per day, huge data generation, right? Take Facebook, Twitter, Google, this bank transactions, telecom transactions, YouTube videos, e-commerce, all this generating huge data, right? Okay. 1 second. Okay. Oracle, MySQL, DB2, SQL Server, all these are the databases. So currently data is stored by the databases, the MySQL, SQL Server. So they are used for OLTP, online transactional processing, OLTP, online processing. They can handle data up to some extent, GBs of data. And we have got some specialized databases like Teradata, Netezza, Vertica. So we have got some specialized database like Teradata, Netezza, Vertica. So they are used for data warehouse purpose, DWH, OLAP. Analytical processing for data warehouse purposes, they can handle data, terabytes of data. Okay. So if you see like to handle OLTP, online transactional processing. What is OLTP? Online transactional processing for day-to-day activities. If we are going to use these databases for bank transactions, telecom transactions, online transactional processing, and this is for analytical processing, online analytical processing. These things they are used for data warehouse purposes. Okay. But for storing huge data or to store unlimited data, unlimited data is not possible by these databases or specialized databases. So as a solution to all this, we got a framework called Hadoop, storing huge data and processing that huge data in quick time. Later I'll come back to that, what are the Hadoop services, what is Hadoop meant for. But before that, let me describe how this data generation, what are the sources of data, what are the types of data, from where the data is getting generated. Today data has got experience, data has got future reference. Using data you can perform like analysis, predictions, classifications, clustering by applying this ML techniques. Okay. Fine. Now if I am taking in this manner, 1 second, this is your total data, this is your data in the current real world, this is your data in the current real world. So this is the entire data which got generated from the last 50 years, like 1970 to 2020. Assume this is the data. But if we observe, 80% of the data, whatever you are seeing, means from 1970 to 2010. If we compare the last 10 years of data, it's 80% of the data, whatever we are seeing, will be got generated from the last 10 to 15 years, right? And previous 40 years, this 40 years and this 10 years, only 20% of the data got generated from the previous 40 years, but 80% of the data what we see in the current world got generated from the last 10 years. The reasons for this huge data generation, yes, the reasons for huge data generation is because of usage of technology, usage of smartphones, usage of internet, right? Huge data getting generated. Previously, if you go back in 1990s or 1990s, if you see how you used to carry the data. What is that? Like you have got like floppy disk, like the size 1.44 MB. Later you got like compact disk. Later you got DVD. Slowly you got like pen drives. So David, as data is increasing, even the storage capacity is increasing. Today, if you see in the early stages of these mobile phones, if we go back like 20 years back in the mobile phones, 256 MB is a bigger storage capacity. 256 MB is the big storage. Later you got 512, 1 GB, 2 GB, 3 GB internal. Now even 128 GB is a very less storage now. So as the data increasing enormously, even the storage systems need to be increased, right? From where this data is getting generated from? What are the main sources from where this data is getting generated from? Mainly, I can say three sources of the data. Three sources. Social data, I can say. Machine data. Transactional data. Social data, machine data, and transactional data. Social data means the data which got generated from the social websites like Facebook, Twitter. Right. Okay. Machine data, the data which got generated from machine data means the data which got generated from machines. The name itself saying means, for example, if you go to shopping malls, for the items you purchased, a bill is going to get generated, right? Means the data which got generated by reading or scanning the barcodes, RFID chips, all this such kind of data we call it as machine data. Transactional data, day-to-day transactions like bank transactions, telecom transactions, all this. So mainly these are the sources of the three sources of data: social data, machine data, and transactional data. And if you observe, what are the types of data? Types of data. So 80% of the data which got generated is going to accommodate, so it's going to be of three types. Three types of data. Structured data, you can see like structured data. Okay, structured data, semi-structured data, and unstructured data. Structured data means data which is arranged in the form of rows and columns in a structured format like Excel sheets, database tables. Semi-structured data means like XML files, JSON files. Unstructured data like nothing but like articles, images, videos, short messages. All this they come as unstructured. Today the biggest challenge is now this databases can handle only structured data, right? But we want something like which can handle not only structured but semi-structured and unstructured. Today if you see that most of the data which got generated here, 80% of the data, most of the data is going to occupy semi-structured, unstructured kind of data, right? So processing such kind of data, semi-structured, unstructured, and okay. So Hadoop is a kind of framework which can handle all the varieties of data, structured, semi-structured, and unstructured. So data is generating enormously. So to store this huge data and to process this huge data. So as a solutions to all this, we have got a framework. We have got a framework called Hadoop. We have got a framework called Hadoop. So Hadoop is meant for two things. Hadoop is meant for two things, right? It's meant for storage and it's meant for processing. Hadoop is meant for storing the data. It is meant for processing, storage and processing. Any technology, if you take, either it will perform storage or processing, but Hadoop is performing both storage and processing. You take technologies like C or C++ or Java, all this, they are used for processing, right? They are not going to store the data. And if you take like Oracle, MySQL, DB2, all this SQL, so all this they are used for storage. But Hadoop is going to perform both storage and processing. Storage and processing. Okay. Hadoop, huge data storage and huge data, unlimited data storage and data processing. The data is getting processed in quick time and processing, huge data processing in quick time. Okay. So I'm saying like Hadoop is able to perform both storage and processing. When Hadoop is able to do all that storing and processing operations, what is the necessity? So if you see this, what is the necessity of that processing and storage technologies? When I'm saying like Hadoop can perform both storage and processing, and what is the necessity of these technologies? Do you think these technologies will go away from the market when Hadoop in the market? Yes. I want the sessions to be interactive. Yes. So I was saying like when we have got many processing technologies and storage technologies available, right? When Hadoop is able to perform both storage and processing, then what is the necessity of the current technologies like C, C++, Java, .NET, Oracle, all this? Fine. So first you should know why Hadoop is required, what kind of applications we are going to develop using Hadoop. Hadoop is meant for what? Okay, fine. So uh, Hadoop is meant for huge data storage and for huge data processing. For a single record, no need to go. For example, if you are making a transaction, for a single transactions or 10 transactions or 20 transactions, Hadoop is not required. Hadoop is not required. Okay. So for millions and trillions of transactions, we go for Hadoop. For single transactions or for single or 2 or 3 transactions or for 10 transactions, no need to go for Hadoop, right? Means I mean to say Hadoop is meant for batch applications. Hadoop is meant for batch processing. We have got two types of applications. Observe this. We have got two types of applications. So two types of applications: online applications and batch applications. What do you mean by online applications and what do you mean by batch applications? One thing, Hadoop is meant for batch application. Hadoop cannot perform online processing. Hadoop is not for online processing. Hadoop is for batch processing, batch applications. Okay. Online applications means user interactive applications. User interactive applications. User interactive applications. Here user gives the input. Here user gives the input. Yes, 1 second. Give me a second. Yeah. So what is user interactive applications? Here user gives the input. Example of online applications like bank transaction. Example like bank transaction. Okay. Booking a movie ticket, for example, bank transaction or booking a movie ticket, where user involvement is required, user interactive applications. If you are making one bank transaction, you are going to give the input, right? Movie ticketing and railway ticket booking. Okay. Batch applications. What do you mean by batch applications? Means user non-interactive applications. User non-interactive applications. User non-interactive applications means example of this. For example, here, for example, railway booking PNR status. For example, today your status is like 190, your waiting status. After 1 hour, it became 160. After 3 hours, it became like 100. Tomorrow morning, if you see it's 50. Tomorrow evening, your ticket got confirmed. Means here, does the user giving any input for this? Is it a user interactive applications? Here, this updation is done automatically by a background application. Here, no user involvement. This kind of applications we call as batch applications. If we take that finance sector, so most, if we take finance sector, banking, insurance, trading, most of those are batch applications. 80% of the operations are background applications. So Hadoop is meant for this kind of things, mostly for batch applications, where user non-interactive applications, where we have see thousands, millions and trillions of records you are going to see, not for a single record. So Hadoop is good for huge data storage. Hadoop is good for huge data. Hadoop is bad for small data. For 1 record or 10 records, Hadoop is not required. For such kind of data, Hadoop is bad. For huge data, for millions and trillions of transactions, we require Hadoop. So which has got more load? For example, if I discuss more examples on this batch, if you want to understand much better, batch applications are batch processing. Okay, batch up Means example, can you say some examples, anyone? Some more examples of this batch in the real, so in our real usage. Bank statements generation. What is that? Bank statements generation. Millions and trillions of users. Means you are generating bank statements for many thousands of users, not for a single, right? Credit card bill generation. Means here credit card bill generation, is it a user, does user give any input? Is it a user interactive application? Credit card bill generation. This is user non-interactive applications. Phone bill generation. All these are user non-interactive. So which has got more load? Online or batch applications? Online applications or batch applications? Batch applications only, right? Because you are, in the case of online, you are making a single transaction, but in the case of batch, you are generating statements for all the customers, which has got huge. Coming back to this, so I was just saying, like, Hadoop is meant for huge data storage and huge data processing. For storing the data, does Hadoop use any databases? No, Hadoop doesn't use any database for storing its data, because we have got some drawbacks with the databases as compared with Hadoop. So it's going with a special kind of file system called as Hadoop distributed file system. Hadoop distributed file system. And for processing, we are going with a technology like MapReduce, Spark. Previously, MapReduce was much preferred. Now going with Spark. Right? So Hadoop is providing two services: storage, and it's meant for storage, and it's meant for processing. Okay.
Hello,
Yes. Any query?
I'm audible. Yes.
Fine.
Like, can I ask?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, previously, you were telling about the generation of data in 1 minute. Like, so many data is generating, and right now you are telling that Hadoop is only used for batch application, but the examples that you were quoting previously is more like uh, online application, like user always used to interact with those applications, and the generation of data is getting huge. So how Hadoop can be used to run these applications? Yes,
You are saying, yeah, if you're talking about social media data.
yes, yes.
So yeah, social. So I was just showing the main sources of that. Social media is one of the main sources from where this data is getting generated, right? So for example, you need to understand how exactly data is stored in Hadoop first. So let me discuss. So to just say the advantages of Hadoop also, first you need to know that architecture, but just for 2 minutes or just I am going to brief you about it, but later in our Hadoop architecture, I'll be briefing you about it. So first observe, you need to understand this. Hadoop follows Hadoop follows master and slave architecture. Hadoop follows master slave architecture. Hadoop is not for client server. One thing is Hadoop doesn't follow client server architecture. Hadoop follows master slave architecture. What is that? Master and slave architecture. It's not for request response. Whenever you give a request, getting response, that is not kind of it's not like request response architecture. Master slave, single master and multiple slaves. Multiple slaves. Think this is what? S1, S2, slave 2, slave 3. So n number of slaves follows master and slave architecture. So here in Hadoop, data, see, we call this as a node. It is master node This we call it as slave nodes, master nodes and slave nodes. Okay. We have got, see, this entire thing is we call it as a cluster. One second. We call this as a cluster, group of CPUs, group of nodes connected in a network. What do you mean by cluster? Group of systems connected in a network, group of nodes. Nodes means systems. We have got two types of nodes, master node, or we say it as name node. In Hadoop terminology, we call it as name node, and slave nodes, or we call it as like data nodes. Okay. So in Hadoop, why we call these slave nodes or data nodes means in Hadoop, data stored within the slaves and data processed by the slaves. Data stored by the slaves and data processed by the slaves. In Hadoop, data is stored in the form of files. For example, data is stored in the form of files. f1.txt file. I've got a file f1.txt. The file size is like 2 TB. Assume the 2 TB. Think that each system or each slave hard disk capacity is 1 TB, 1 TB, 1 TB, 1 TB. Yes. This 1 TB, 2 TB file, can it fit into any of the slave system? Any of the system? No, right? If you have got a bigger file, it is not going to fit in any of the system, any of the slave. We got only 1 TB storage. In Hadoop, the file is going to be splitted into smaller parts, smaller chunks we call them as blocks. In Hadoop, data is divided into smaller parts. Each part is going to be stored across the slaves. Each part is going to be stored across the slaves. Means distributed storage you are going to see. Two advantages you are going to observe here. Distributed storage, that is one. Data is going to be distributed across the multiple machines, and multiple machines, multiple slaves are processing the same file parallelly. Think that some 10 lakh records in this, 10 lakh transactions in this, 10 lakh records, 10 lakh records in this. Each slave is processing 10 lakh records parallelly, right? For parallel processing to happen, your data need to be distributed, right? Your data need to be distributed. So in Hadoop, distributed storage and parallel processing. Because of this, Hadoop is going to have huge speed, and also that huge data storage is possible here. But if you take a very small file of 20 MB or 50, 100 MB, I said like Hadoop is bad for small file. Hadoop is good for huge files. Means 100 MB file, if we are dividing into smaller parts, storing across the slaves, and tomorrow if you want to retrieve this file, so it's a time waste, right? Dividing into smaller parts, storing across multiple slaves, processing it, again collecting the result. Instead of that, you can store in a one single slave and process it, right? So for a small like 10 MB files, 100 MB files, Hadoop will be bad for such kind of data I was saying. To take social media data, huge data, if you want to just extract, and if you want to load it into Hadoop environment and process it, it takes very less time because of parallel processing. So huge amounts of data storage and huge amount of data processing, we are going for Hadoop. And Hadoop mostly, it's not for example, like a request response architecture. It is not for such kind of, it doesn't follow client server architecture, I'm saying. Whenever you go request, it is not going to. But if you want to perform such kind of things in real time, we are going to integrate Hadoop with NoSQL databases. Hadoop plus NoSQL databases Hadoop can perform batch processing, NoSQL with online processing, OLTP processing, combined together can perform batch and online processing. Even NoSQL databases has got great demand in today's market. So as part of our course, I'm going to discuss one NoSQL database also in brief, in depth. So you need to have the knowledge about the NoSQL database also, like HBase, which is especially designed for Hadoop. Okay, today if you take the top 100 websites, top 100 social media sites, Facebook, LinkedIn, Yahoo, Amazon, all these top 100 e-commerce sites, they are not going with RDBMS, they are not going with databases. Because if you take the example of a Facebook, per second, how many transactions are happening? To take for every 10 seconds, 3 trillion transactions are happening. For every 10 seconds, 3 trillion transactions means per minute, 18 trillion transactions are happening. Means so here, databases like Oracle, they are not, if lakhs of records are attacking Oracle server will be hanged out. Okay. For example, take the Facebook, per day it is generating nearly 110 TB, 110 TB per day I'm saying. But if we talk about this Oracle total capacity of Oracle, our lifetime capacity of Oracle is 50 TB. Maximum it can store up to some extent, but higher than that, no. But Facebook, in a day, you are just generating this much of data. So here we are going with NoSQL databases. So Hadoop plus NoSQL can perform both batch and fine. We have got many NoSQL databases like Cassandra, MongoDB, CouchDB, Ria, Peanut, Neo4j. Okay, the most famous is like HBase, Cassandra, and MongoDB. Okay, fine. So here in Hadoop, data is stored in the form of files, not in the databases. Data is stored in the form of tables, but in Hadoop, the files are splitted into smaller parts. Each one is divided into smaller parts that they are going to be get distributed across slaves and processed parallelly. Okay, fine. So why databases like Oracle databases are not used for storing Hadoop data means we have got drawbacks. I'll be briefing about the drawbacks of databases, but okay, Hadoop. Okay, 1 second. Let me discuss that. See, what are the main drawbacks you see within the databases as compared with Hadoop, I'm saying. Okay. Observe these drawbacks. First one, drawbacks of databases means less storage in GBs or TBs. Second is most of the databases no parallel processing. Most of the databases no parallel processing is going to happen. Mainly, and if you see in databases as volume increasing, observe this. Speed decreases, I'm saying. Volume increases, speed decreases. For example, okay, to justify this, if I'm taking an example, I'm taking an SQL query, select sum of amount, total amount from sales one. Okay, sum of amount from sales one. So 1 second. Say I'm repeating the same query. Yes. Select a total amount from sales one. Observe these three queries from sales one, from sales two, and from sales three. Three different tables. Think that in sales one I got like 10 records. Here in sales two, like 1 lakh records. In sales three, I got to like 1 crore records. Observe here, total amount of 10 records, 1 lakh records, and 1 crore records. Which query is going to execute faster? Total amount of 10 records, or total amount of 1 lakh records, total amount of 1 crore records. Which query is going to execute faster among these three?
First one.
First query, right? As CL query to query as data increasing, speed decreasing, right? If volume increases, I'm saying speed decreases. If I give a labor example, a boy carrying a bag of 10 kgs, he can walk, okay, a 5 kg, think that he is carrying 5 kg bag, school bag. He can run along with that bag. But if the volume increases to 15 kgs, he can just walk with it. If it is increased to 30 kgs, he can't even walk with it, right? Volume increasing, speed decreasing. Here also in the databases as volume increasing. And if we, one more drawback like complexity increasing. Complexity increases, I'm saying like the speed decreases. Speed decreases, okay. For example, complexity increases, speed decreases in the sense, I'll take the query, select sum of amount from sales one. I'm taking the same query. Yes. Observe these three queries now. The same sales one, sales one, sales one. Total amount of from sales one, average amount from sales one, standard deviation of amount. I want these three operations like that. Sum of amount, average amount, standard deviation of amount from sales one. So every sales one, sales one, sales one. Think that sales one has got all this has got 1 lakh records. So which query is going to execute faster? Sum of amount, average amount, or standard deviation of amount? Which query is going to execute faster among these three queries? Yes. Same table,
First,
but I have again the first query, right? Because
first.
average amount is a two-step process. First sum to be calculated, next average to be calculated. So as compared to the first query, second query is taking time, right? As compared to the second query, third query, standard deviation means lot of internal processing required. So query to query as complexity is increasing, speed decreasing, right? And the major drawback of databases, data RDBMS or databases can handle only structured data, right? They can handle only structured data. They cannot handle unstructured or semi-structured kind of data, right? For example, talking about this database can handle only structured data. For example, I want a table. I want to take reviews for a particular movie. Reviews. User giving reviews. Review. For example, user one saying that user one, user two, user three. In this way. See one thing, there is a query asked, what if we use NoSQL databases for storage? Yes, Naman Kumar, yes, sir. NoSQL databases can perform only online processing. They cannot perform batch, only for interactive applications. So online on OSQL databases, they are used for online processing or online applications. For batch applications, they cannot perform batch applications. Batch processing means user non-interactive applications, they cannot. User interactive applications, okay. User non-interactive applications, we can go for Hadoop. So here we are going in the real time, just we are going to combine Hadoop and NoSQL database, Hadoop and NoSQL databases, which can perform both Hadoop performing batch and NoSQL performing online processing. Okay, fine. Here I'm taking reviews for a particular movie. User one saying the movie is good. Good means one is saying, bad means he's saying zero. Means he is giving the feedback in the form of zeros and ones. Can you write an SQL query? Can you write an SQL query for this? Rows and columns, 100 rows are there, 2 columns are there. Can you write an SQL query to count the number of ones and zeros? For counting the number of ones and zeros, how many people saying it's good, how many people saying it's bad? Yes. Grouping operations, group by operations, select review wise. count I want, review wise count I want from reviews. Group by, from review wise count I want from reviews, group by review, group all the ones, and what is the count it, how many, group all the zeros and count it. Okay. Output, observe this output, review 190 people saying the movie is good, 0 people, that is 10 people saying that, okay, 10 people saying the movie is bad. Review wise, review means 1 or 0, what is the count, 90 and 10. Okay, so for this kind of structured data, you can write SQL queries, right? But users generally they won't give reviews in the forms of 1 and 0, right? They give in their own text format. First person saying movie is good, second person saying movie is not good, and each one saying that in their own text format. Then can you count now? Now can you write an SQL query to count the number of goods and bads? Can you write an SQL query to count the number of goods and number of bads, number of not goods? No, right? Even if you do by using keyword count, good, even not good is having good, right? So it gives wrong computation, so cannot handle semi-structured and structured kind of databases. So despite of these many drawbacks like less storage, no parallel processing, as volume increasing, speed decreasing, complexity increases, speed decreases, can handle only structured data. So Hadoop is not using these databases for storing its data. Okay. Coming to this Hadoop advantages. Just now I was saying, right, Hadoop advantages. Unlimited data storage, unlimited data storage is possible. Very high speed processing, unlimited data storage, very high speed processing. Very high in unlimited data storage because of there is a feature called horizontally unlimited scalability. Horizontally unlimited scalability. Means horizontally unlimited number of slaves can be added in the case of Hadoop. Okay, fine. If you observe here, Hadoop follows master and slave, right? See here, S1, S2, S3, S4, S5. If your data is increasing, then you are going to increase the number of slaves. Means horizontally unlimited number of slaves can be added. If your data increased by 100 times, customer increased by 1000 times, you cannot go with the same number of slaves. You are going to increase the number of slaves. Okay, fine. Horizontally unlimited number of slaves can are allowed. Very high speed processing because of parallel processing. Because of what? Parallel processing. And I'll come back to this parallel processing, but can handle all varieties of data, can handle all varieties of data. And if you see this, Open source. Hadoop is an open source, no licensing required. So it's a cost cutting. And commodity hardware. It's not that you need to have that latest hardware configuration. It can go with any hardware configuration. Commodity hardware. So I'll just okay, 1 second. Let me discuss about very high speed processing because of parallel processing. You see here, there were many tests conducted on Hadoop before any technology comes into the market. Lot of tests will be done on that. So on Hadoop also lot of tests were done, and Hadoop was proven in the market, storage point of view and processing point of view. Yahoo has conducted a test to test the speed of various databases in the market. Yahoo has taken a table of size 100 TB consisting of 1024 columns. Okay, what is the okay? The task is sorting based on 16 columns. Sorting based on 16 columns. So what is the time taken by the various databases? Time taken by various databases. Oracle. It has taken nearly 3.5 days to process this. And if you say MySQL, it has taken nearly 6 days to process it. Or if you take Teradata is a specialized database used for data warehouse purpose. It has just taken 4.5 hours performing this. Netezza, unless another specialized database, it has just taken 3 hours to process it. Finally, Hadoop. It has just taken 3.4 minutes. 3.4 minutes to process it. Latest version of Hadoop has just taken 1.2 minutes. This is what the processing speed of Hadoop. Very high speed processing because of parallel processing. So because of this, so Hadoop is proven in the market. Storage point of view, I'm going to discuss tomorrow. How storage point of view, how Hadoop is proven in the market, how Hadoop only can store huge unlimited data, why database like Oracle cannot store unlimited data. So storage point of view, I'm going to discuss in the tomorrow session how Hadoop is proven. Processing point of view, very high speed. So today, like wherever you see huge data today, if you see all that applications generating huge data, right? So wherever huge data is involved, then we are going for Hadoop. Most of the ETL projects are getting migrated towards Hadoop environment. So there is a great requirement for Hadoop and Spark. So you can just check it, Google and check. Okay, fine. So what I'm going to discuss as part of the course, just I'm going to show you now. So as part of this course, what I'm going to discuss. Okay, just everyone, you can just have a look about this. What are the contents I'm going to discuss? And tomorrow, once again, I brief you about the Hadoop components, ecosystem components. So Hadoop and Spark Scale. Actually, previously we used to go with the two separate courses, Hadoop and Spark, but now we have combined Hadoop and Spark. Okay, and upsell. What is big data? Why Hadoop? Need of Hadoop? HDFS, Hadoop distributed file system, MapReduce, processing component, Scoop, SQL plus Hadoop for import export operations, Yarn, yet another resource negotiator, speculative execution, speculative job tasks, Yarn architecture, Yarn components, Apache Pig. So it's one of the processing component. And what are the diagnostic operators in Pig? Hive, which is one of the important component of Hadoop. That is for data warehouse purpose, where you are going to make the data structure, creating tables, internal external tables. And what is that internal table, external table, partition and unpartitioned tables, UDFs, UDAFs, UDTFs, partitioning, bucketing, indexing in Hive. NoSQL database, what are the different categories, advantages, types? HBase is one of the NoSQL database that I'm going to discuss. Apart from this, I'm going to give knowledge on this streaming technologies like Flume and Kafka. And coming to the Spark, first I'm going to discuss about the Scala language, Scala basics, Scala data types, variables. First I'll be discussing Scala language, Scala control structures, collections, transformations over these collections, Scala functions, everything about the Scala language. Next I'll come back to the Spark. Spark advantages over different other technologies in the market first, like Tej, SAP HANA, MapReduce, Pig, and Spark data objects we call it as RTD, resilient distributed data set. And what are the various actions and transformations? RTD computations, the persistence options, and Spark core computing, what are the various groupings, aggregations, various actions and transformations, each and every action and transformation in brief. And Spark SQL, making the data structured, discussing about case classes, discussing about data frames, SQL context, data frames API, datasets API, RTDs data frame and datasets, Spark and Hive integration, Spark MySQL integration, working with CSV files, JSON files, and other data files, and deploying modes like local and cluster mode, and Spark applications, their stages, their tasks, and the driver and executor, and the Spark job submission, submitting that, creating jar file and submitting using the two IDs, using Eclipse ID I'm going to discuss, using IntelliJ IDE I'm going to show you, and by using build tools like Maven and SBT, simple build tool for creating the jar files, and also I'm going to give the knowledge on Spark and Cassandra. So everything in brief I'm going to discuss. So for Hadoop 60 hours I'm going to take, and for Spark 60 hours, totally 120 hours. Okay, fine. So totally like 60 hours for Hadoop, 60 hours for Spark, 120 hours. So those who want to go like parallelly, like after completion of Hadoop, 15 to 20 days of Hadoop completion, even if you want to go parallelly with Spark, you can go every 1 month. A Spark batch is going to start, right? So you can attend parallelly Scala language and Spark if you want. Otherwise, Hadoop and Spark, after completion of Hadoop, if you want to go for Spark, that is also fine. So generally Hadoop takes like 1.5 to 2 months. Spark also takes 1.5 to 2 months. Okay, so nearly like 3.5 to 4 months it takes if you are going one after the other, Hadoop and Spark. But if you go parallelly, it completes in 2.5 months, right? So everything in brief. So if clear notes will be provided for all these topics, and every session is a video recorded, even if you're absent, okay, for a couple of days due to ill health or due to some office work, then you can just if you got any queries, you can go with your queries, everyone. Yeah, Satish Mudde, and we are new for Hadoop, and I can attend for Spark. So 1 second, the Hadoop, Spark and Scala, after 15 to 20 days of Hadoop, if you want to go for Spark and Scala, you can go. Otherwise, after completion of Hadoop, if you feel that you doesn't have, you cannot spare time or due to other reasons, you can go one after the other. So the only thing is you need to do that every day. Practicals, every sessions are this, not everything I'm going to deal with the practical, and practically I'm going to show you everything practically. There won't be anything theoretical. So step by step I'm going to show you. That's why I'm taking 120 hours, I'm saying. So at the end of that, you will get a good command, great command on this Hadoop and Spark. So even from uh, I'm going to show you what all the prerequisite required also for this. I'm going to first give you the knowledge on that. Next I'll be going with this. Prerequisites means like basic SQL knowledge and basic Linux knowledge required. But if you doesn't have that knowledge, first I'm going to brush you up with the all that Linux commands. Not all that, see here, the entire basic Linux knowledge is required. If it doesn't have, still I'm going to provide all the commands I'm going to show you practically before I go with the Hadoop practicals. And Java, see, there is a component called MapReduce. Mostly for that, we are going to use Java. Previously, it was much used, but now it got outdated. So we are going with languages like Pig Latin language for Pig, for Hive HQL, similar to SQL, and for Spark, we are going with Scala languages, right? So all this I'm going to show you before we go with the practicals. And for one, Java is mostly used for MapReduce, but that component is outdated today, not much used in the industry, but 6 years 7 years back it was much used. So fine. Okay, still any other queries? You can just go ahead with your queries, right? And even if we check Hadoop jobs, Hadoop and Spark jobs, you have got a lot of job openings for this. And even if you see that package for this 1.5 times more than any other technology, Okay, fine. So tomorrow also you people can attend the session same time. So tomorrow, see, the timing will be from there is a small change in the timing, not like it starts at 5 o'clock. Instead of 4 to 5, that session will be from 5 to 6, not from 4 to 5, 5 to 6. At 5 o'clock with the same link, you can join the session tomorrow from 5 to 6. Yes. And everything I'm going to show you, clear notes will be provided for all the practical, for what all the practicals I do. Just I'm going to copy it into a Word file or a Notepad file, and I'm going to post you. If you got stuck up anywhere, you can just go through that notes, or you can go through the video. And yeah, all the sessions will be interactive sessions. I'm going to keep you in unmuted status so that anytime you can ask your queries. If you got any errors or queries while practicing, you can take a snap of it and you can just post it in the WhatsApp group that you'll be having in the coming days. Okay, fine. So tomorrow more on this Hadoop I'm going to discuss, like how Hadoop is proven and how exactly data storage and processing happens, why only Hadoop can store unlimited data. Fine. Why not other technologies, right? And I suggest everyone to be regular to the sessions, and if you are doing the practicals every day, at least spending 1 hour on that, the course goes very simple and easier to understand. Okay, and you should keep responding and interacting in during the sessions, like both the sides. The sessions need to be interactive. You cannot me speaking and going off. I want the sessions to be, you can respond or you can interact only when you are doing the practicals every day, right? So tomorrow, once again I say, tomorrow the timing will be from 5 to 6. You can log in at 5 p.m. tomorrow with the same link. Okay, more on this. Okay. So yes, if I'm done with that, if I'm done with the queries, if there are no other queries, then I will sign off for today. Meet you tomorrow at 5 p.m. Still, if you have got queries, you can ask me in the tomorrow session. Okay. And thank you all for your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.